Okay, so quite frequently it'll be a weeknight and forgot to take something out of the freezer, or people have a ton of stuff going on, so come into the kitchen and try and figure out what to make for dinner before everyone gets home. Tonight in particular, my daughters are home, but my sons are both at practice, football practice. I have a 17-year-old who's the varsity starting lineman for his football team, and a team captain, and I have my 11-year-old who is now starting his 5th grade football year and is getting into that whole thing. So you can imagine our weeknights can be pretty hectic, and they won't be home till about 7:30ish at night. So I'm going to make dinner, and the girls are probably going and I are probably going to eat, but keep it warm for them later. So you want to make something that can stay warm without getting dried out. So I took some chicken out of the freezer earlier. Just some boneless, skinless chicken breasts. They're still somewhat frozen, but they'll cook up pretty nice, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to chop them up. Old teeth are good for this. And fry them up with some seasonings in a frying pan. Chop them up in bite-sized pieces. And then stick them in a baking dish. And put some nice baby potatoes in there that I'm going to cut into some smaller pieces, and I'm going to stick them all into a baking dish and put them in the oven with some vegetables, and I don't know, we'll see what we come up with, because like I said, this is a fly by the seat of your pants type meal. So you can see what I'm doing here is I'm chopping it into smaller pieces, you know, bite size. Let me switch. I can't switch. Anyways, see, bite size pieces, and about that big. They'll shrink a little bit. And I'm going to put some olive oil in the pan and get it started warming up. I just have a conventional frying pan that, or stove I should say, that like most people have. I don't have any fancy flat tops or convection or anything like that. Anyways, just putting a few tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil in there. And get it all nice and heated up. Make sure you don't use the this is my chicken hand, this is my non-chicken hand. But enough to coat the bottom of the pan. Okay, so I'm going to finish chopping up this chicken, and then we'll get to the next spot. Okay, so you can see I have all of the chicken in the pan. Those are cookies from leftover. And I am going to find something to mix it with. Hold that for me, my little girl. Okay. This is, okay, leave it right there. Hi! Okay, so we're going to stir it up a little bit. We're going to add, and I'm not too worried about the pan being crowded. I just want the chicken to cook. Because get your hand out of there. I had a bit of an idea of possibly making a chicken pot pie type recipe. Thank you, baby. And add the rest of the onions in here. We gotta get these out of the way now. Onions. We're going to add a nice big healthy pinch of salt. And a good amount of pepper.
You see, this is her famous.
My famous?
Yeah.
This is Mommy flying by the seat of her pants. And we're going to add a little bit of garlic powder. And I think that should be good for now. Be careful with that. Let me see. Stir it all up. Be careful with that. Be careful.
I'm just going to give you a bigger look so you can.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now.
She's texturing it.
I'm texturing it?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's quite a bit of textures in here. There's onion and there's chicken. And see, the reason why I did it when it's partially thawed is because it releases
She's
that
using a
moisture.
spatula.
Hush, please. He leaves all this extra moisture in here that I'm going to use to make a gravy. And I'm using a packaged gravy, roasted chicken.
This is for dinner, I think.
Yes, it is. We're going to add the gravy into there. Going to make our sauce. This is the semi-homemade version, Real Mom's edition.
You're spilling it.
Oh, that's what happens in a real kitchen. We're going to mix it in. Mix it in. Helps if I have a bigger frying pan, but
She's a newer cook,
I am not a new cook.
but you're a good cook. You were a good cook. You were a really good cook.
We're going to add that in there, and add that in there, and add that in there. Get it all nice and incorporated. All nice and incorporated. Lovely, lovely, lovely.
We're using a tiny pan because we don't know where the big pans are. I'm new to this, but she has done a couple and I did a couple for
Now,
mine.
I also, in my pantry, had a box of chicken stock. And because this is getting pretty thick, I am going to add as much as I can, because that gravy is going to thicken up in there. Look at that. Isn't that pretty?
Yeah. She's mixing it up so it can be more texture.
More texture, that's right. And she advanced for her little 5-year-old body. She's almost 6.
Yeah, my birthday's coming up.
It is.
And I'm going to have pretty stuff.
Pretty
'cause
stuff?
I'm a princess.
You're a princess. Okay. We are going to continue cooking this. I'm going to add some mixed vegetables to it. And some
It's kind of big, but like the inside is little.
baby potatoes to it. So as soon as we come back, we'll be at the next phase. Thanks. Okay, so while we were gone, I have quartered some baby red and yellow potatoes. Hang on, sweetheart. And I put the chicken and gravy mixture into a sheet pan, or excuse me, into a baking dish. And we are now going to continue cooking. I had to do this in 2 batches. Like I said, I have a small saute pan here that I'm working with, so I did the chicken and the onions and the gravy mix in one setting, and then we poured those in.
I'll give you another
You need to
close
hush,
look.
please. And then we put the vegetables in the other with the rest of the chicken stock that was in that container that I had. We're also going to season the vegetables too, because you always want to season every step of the way. You want to season because you want to make sure.
Yeah, so like you can.
Paigey, because you want to make sure that everything gets flavor. Just try not to go overboard with the seasoning. And one of the special things that we have that I'm going to add to the vegetables is this right here. This is homemade butter. Me and my older daughter made this a few days ago, and it is so easy to make. We're just going to add a few. I mean, nothing beats homemade butter. I mean, look at that. Homemade butter. You cannot beat it. All it takes, all you need to make butter, you need whipping cream, heavy whipping cream, and a pinch of salt, and a mixer. That's all you need. Or if you wanted to go by manpower, you can put it in a bottle and shake, 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 shake. But we put it in my trusty old KitchenAid mixer, and you put it in there, you make whipping cream, then you keep it going, and keep it going until it breaks apart. And when it breaks apart, you'll have a bunch of liquid in the bottom of the bowl, and that's essentially buttermilk. And then you'll see the solids that are floating in it, and then you strain it, and you put the solids into a container and press them down and release the rest of the liquid. And lo and behold, you've got butter, and there's nothing better than making your own butter. And we added to ours, we added just a couple pinches of salt. because we wanted to. It actually didn't give it a salty flavor. It just enhanced the flavor of the milk. So, but yeah, that's the best way to make your own butter. I mean, I have plenty of commercial butter in my freezer, but there's nothing better than making your own butter, really. So what I'm trying to do right now is just wait until these potatoes get somewhat cooked, because they can take a long time in the oven, which, by the way, I need to turn my oven on. We're going to turn it on to 350 degrees. And then I have some biscuits that I was defrosting because they were also in the freezer. And we're going to pull these apart and just...
Can I help?
You can when we get to that part. Okay. And we're going to pull these into quarters, and we're going to dollop them all over the top and make our pot pie. So, I'll see you back when we're at that stage. Bye. Okay, we're back. So, I added a little bit of basil to the mix. The potatoes are about halfway cooked at this point. I can't really stick a knife very far into it, but that's okay. What I'm going to do, and carefully, I want Paige to be very careful, is I'm going to add these to the chicken mixture. We're going to hush please. We're going to mix them all together once they get into the sheet pan. And then I will take the camera from Miss Paige, and she is going to top it all with these biscuits that you see in the background, which are just Grand's picked biscuits. They're those big old biscuits. And they are partially frozen too. We shot it with a hairdryer a little bit just to get the packaging off, and then put them in the microwave enough to separate them, and then I cut them into quarters. I think that's good. What do you think, Paigey?
Yeah.
Okay, so Miss Paige here is going to put them all over the top. Just put them all a bunch of whole little places. It doesn't have to be any place in particular. Just drop them, kind of like dumplings. It's essentially a chicken pot pie is what it is, but it's going to be kind of like dumpling style, I guess you could say. But we're using refrigerator biscuits. We're using frozen vegetables, fresh potatoes. I put some dried basil in it. You can add whatever herbs you want in it. I particularly like basil, and I'm out of parsley at the moment. Otherwise, I'd put that in it too. I use salt and pepper and butter. We are going to, once she gets all of these across the top, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the top with some, I like this coconut oil spray. I, of course, have other regular types of spray also, and you can use butter flavored. You can use anything except baking. You don't want that extra flour in there. You're going to just shoot that across the top of it, and then add just a little other sprinkling of salt and pepper. Stick it in the oven and let it cook for the next half an hour to 45 minutes. When the potatoes are fork tender and the biscuits are golden, you are done. And what I'm going to recommend for the first 20 minutes is to cover it with foil so your biscuits don't burn, especially if you're using just a regular conventional oven that every rental household in America has. It's better to cover it and be safe than to not cover it and have it be burnt. So we'll be back when it is done and ready to taste. Okay, time for the reveal, and I gotta tell you, it looks pretty tasty. Mine only took half an hour. After 20 minutes, I did take the foil off and let it brown some more, and honestly, I don't think these have gone too far. There's a few little darker spots, but that's where the foil was touching the top, and they got a little bit hotter when it was covered up, but it's not burnt at all. And the potatoes, you can see, they are completely fork tender. I mean, look at that. It's obviously a little hot, but I'm going to take a taste because I want to know that I got my seasonings right. As you know, this was a fly by the seat of your pants dish, so here we go. Oh my gosh. Yeah, this was a great go-to meal. And look at that, the chicken is just falling apart. It's beautiful. So, this is my fly by the seat of your pants chicken pot pie. And I urge you to try it for your family, especially if you're feeding a crowd. And good luck, and I will see you next week. I'm thinking I might do something on eggs. I have chickens and a lot of eggs I need to use, so we'll see. Happy cooking.